Well, hi guys and gals, it's me George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man, and we have our John Deere up on the lift, and you can see I've taken the carburetor off completely with the intake manifold. And the reason being is it's nigh impossible to get the carburetor off from the intake manifold, especially getting this inside screw. You can't get a wrench in there, you can't get a socket in there, so it's just simpler to take the whole unit off. Now, what I want to show you, see how am I going to do this? Maybe if I do it like this. These carburetors are almost identical. I've already made one modification, and that is this angle piece here was pointing down, so I had to pull it out and point it up to match this one here. I have ordered the gas tank, the proper gas tank, to go on here, and the outlet for it goes directly straight down right here, so it drops right into the carburetor. Now you'll notice that while the carburetors appear to be very similar, almost the same, that the linkages are different. This one here is made for a snowblower, and this rod normally gets bent up so that you're working it from up above the housing. But all the throttle linkages are just enough different. This one here and this one here, and then obviously for the choke that we need to swap over the linkages. Now you say, George, well, why did you do that? Well, the reason that I bought this carburetor instead of getting a direct replacement for this one is the direct replacement for this one is about $75. Whereas this one is less than $15. So it's a no-brainer for me. When you stop and think, I bought this whole mower, this John Deere mower, I bought for 50 bucks. I did have to travel an hour each way to get it, so I have probably another $20 in gas, so we're talking $70. Well, why would I pay $75 for a carburetor to go on a $70 mower? Now I have put these wider tires on the back, which has enhanced its capabilities, and I'm hoping that with the fuel tank and this new carburetor we will be finishing off the preparation for selling it. So I thought you'd like to follow along with me as I change these linkages so that the linkages from this one will go on this one and it will work fine and dandy. Now there are a couple of another difference between the two carburetors. This one here has the high speed adjustment on the bottom, as does this one. But this one here, is being a much older carburetor, also has this bowl drain. That's the float bowl drain. And the reason for those float bowl drains is so that when you put the mower away for the season, when you drain the gas out of the tank and run it out in the carburetor, there's still a little bit left in the bottom, and you can use this to drain the rest off. But and I actually could change the float bowls over from one to the other. Whether I will or not, I haven't decided at this point. But follow along with me, and we'll get to changing the linkages. Now the first thing we got to do, and this is the throttle linkage here, first thing we got to do is pop these screws out. See that? And then once we pop the screw out, then we can slide the shaft right out the top on each one of them. So I'll put you up on the stand and we'll get started. Okay, so First thing to do is take these screws out. You need to get a screwdriver that fits well, because these screws sometimes have been peened over a little bit on the inside, although this one doesn't appear to be, since it came out so easily. And this one does have a spring on it, which a coil spring, which hooks into this tab right here. So you need to be aware of that when you're taking it off. Because you'll need to put it back in place when you put it down into the other unit. Come on out of there. And then it pulls right out just like that. There's the old one. Let me bend this up out of the way, because that's what they do. They just have to be bent. This one can be Phillips or straight slot. But we have straight slot here, so that's what we'll use. Maybe I should have Phillips. This one is coming out harder. That one looks like it had some kind of Loctite on it. And similar to the other one, this one has a spring clip here. Let's see if we can get that released. Yeah, that was some of that gobbledygook. I need a little bit smaller piece to get in there. I need a pick. There we go. And then that one slides right out. Now I'm going to save this felt here and use that on the old one. Just like that. Now the next question we have to ask ourselves is, are these equally compatible? And it looks like there is a little bit of a difference. I can show you this. Where are you at there? There is a little bit, this is rounded all the way here, and the new one is not. So we're going to put the new one back in, but back in with the old shaft. So put the old shaft back down in here, and it goes all the way around like this. And we need to take our spring and wind it back around like this and get it down underneath. There we go. So that's working. So now we're going to take our new throttle plate and put it back in there. And we will use the old screw to go on the old shaft, but I think I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on it because I don't want that thing popping off of there, you know what I mean? So this is just like Brill cream. Brill cream, a little dabble do you? Brill cream, the girls will all pursue you. They want to get their fingers in your hair. Okay. And we'll very carefully reach down inside there. and get our screw started back into the shaft and tighten it up. And there you have it. An old throttle shaft and a new carburetor. Now we're going to do the other end, which is the same deal, except this one, the original one, is spring-loaded. This one is too, actually, but it's spring-loaded in a different way. We're going to take this spring here off, I think. I'm looking to see this one has a hole right in here for the spring to hook into. The new one does not have a hole there. So I think, how am I going to do this? Could drill a hole there, I guess. It's just solid meat. I think that's what I'll do, but before I do that, we're going to unhook our spring from that hole. Yeah, maybe. There we go. Get that out of the way. Now the throttle plate or choke plate will stay closed while I undo the screw. They said, "George, we can't see what you're doing." Okay, then that comes right up out of there. Let me put that off to the side. Alright, now we're going to take the throttle plate out of the new one. I mean choke plate, I keep calling it a throttle plate. This is the choke. Wow. That one's out, and this will come right up out of there. And again, we're going to do this. Well, my battery just died, and I don't know exactly where I was at when it did, but I drilled the hole in the top here, and so we'll get that down in there like that, and we'll wind this around till we get the flat spot on there, and we will put the new one back in, just to make sure that it fits properly. And we'll use the old screw, and again I need to put a little bit of Loctite on it. And I won't sing this time, I promise. Okay, spring-loaded to the open position. Now we're ready to put it back on the lawnmower. Well, right after I put it on here, of course. I'm going to mount that to there, and the gasket on here is in pretty good shape. Although I see it looks to me like it has been leaking. I wonder if that was part of the problem. Can you see that right there? See that spot right there? That is recessed from the rest. That could have been a vacuum leak. We're going to replace that gasket for sure. Okay, so I have bolted my carburetor onto my intake manifold, and now we'll bolt the intake manifold. I have inspected the filter back in here, and it appears to be in good condition. So if I can remember what I did with my screws. Oh, here they are, right here in front of me. Man, if it had been a snake. Did I say it right in front of me? Look at that, right there. If it had been a snake, it would have bit me. So, the first thing I got to do is I've got to get this hooked into, oh man, now I forgot. This goes into here, and it's almost impossible to get it. Is that right? Yeah. It has to go. And I should have marked it, and I didn't. It's got to go into this hole right here in the back, just like that. All right. Now the rest of this has to slide down underneath here, because the choke and stuff works off of a tab that is underneath this cover here. But I'm going to bolt my carburetor on there first. And these have big Phillips head screws on them. And I did say big Phillips head screws, right? So you use a big Phillips head screwdriver. These are, what do they call these? Are these are number 2, and the normal one is number 1. I can't remember. Maybe one of you guys can remember. Maybe it says on the handle of the screwdriver. Number 3. This is a number 3 screw. A number 3 screwdriver. You use them all the time, but then you don't necessarily know the numbers. And this has, like all snap-on screwdrivers, has a square shank on the shaft, or hex shank I should say, on the shaft, so you can put a pair of wrenches on there, a wrench on there. And now this slides back onto here. You got 2 screws to hold this in place. Actually, these are not screws, these are bolts with star washers on them. And this is adjustable so that you can adjust the choke. I'm going to put it on the way it was when it came off. That's the way it came off of there. And you can see the choke better than I can. That is all the way up, and you see, where is my choke lever on this one? Actually, the choke lever and the throttle lever are all one. And I got things twisted around here, I think. Because it's working backwards.